Let's talk a little bit about the distributive property. The distributive property is taking an expression and trying to simplify it, but is trying to simplify it because there are parentheses in the way. You can see every example I have up here has parentheses. The distributive property is trying to help us get rid of those parentheses. We have to understand what is happening here, though, before we can understand the distributive property. This is saying that I have 3 times everything in the parentheses. I've got 3 of these n plus 2's. I've got 4 of these 5 minus n's, and I've got 4 of this down here too. Now let's write that out. If I have 3 n plus 2's, I literally have n plus 2 once, another n plus 2 for twice, and another n plus 2 3 times. 3 n plus 2's. Well, once I write it like this, it's pretty easy to actually simplify this because I've got 1, 2, 3 n's. Well, we can write that as literally 3 n's. And I've got 1, 2, 3 2's. Well, 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 6. So this expression can be simplified into this expression, right? And you might be wondering, well, where did the distribution happen? We're going to get there, but let's first write out this next problem. This is saying I have 4 of these 5 minus n's. There's a 5 minus n, another 5 minus n, a third one, and a fourth one. Now that the parentheses are gone, we can just put things together that belong together. I've got a 5, a 5, a 5, and a 5. I have 4 5's. That gives me 20. I've got a minus n, a minus n, a minus n, a minus n. That's 4 n's that have been subtracted. So we would say minus 4 n's. Well, this is the same as this. Right? This expression is the same as this expression. Right? We can see that. We haven't really used the distributive property yet. The distributive property is saying I've got 3 n plus 2's. In other words, I have 3 n, I have 3 n's, and I have 3 2's. We can literally see that when we look at this expanded version of it. Okay? What the distributive property is doing is it's trying to let you jump from here all the way to here without having to write out every single step. I've got 3 n's and 3 2's. Well, 3 n's is this, 3 2's is this. I can make the jump. Same thing here. 4 5's, 4 5's is 20. So why do I have to write out 4 5's? Why can't I just write 4 5's is 20? Well, you can with the distributive property. The 4 is distributed to the 5, and the 4 is distributed to the n. Well, if I have 4 n's, well, just write 4 n's. We're taking away those 4 n's. Therefore, we can do the distributive property on something somewhat complex pretty quickly. I have 4 5's. That's 20. I have 4 minus n's. Well, that's minus 4 n's. I've got 4 3's. Well, that's 12. I've got 4 n's. Well, that's plus 4n. I've distributed the 4 to everything inside of those parentheses and given it a much simpler version. Now we could simplify from here if we wanted. The 20 and the 12 can go together. The negative 4n and the positive 4n actually equal 0, so this expression is simplified to this. One last thing. Everything on this side, we are going to be calling factored form. Everything on this side, these answers that we've had up here, we're going to be calling those simplified form, or sometimes just expanded form. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in class, but just note when the parentheses are there, it's factored form. Once we've kind of solved things out, It's been expanded and put into simplest form.